Welcome to the Morning Walk with Murty Digital Stroll.
Thank you. Always great to be here for another session.
So I want you to imagine something for a second. Imagine waking up tomorrow, just grabbing your phone off the nightstand and discovering that the CEO of a major tech company has effectively stolen your identity on a messaging app.
Wait, what? Stolen your identity? Like hacked your phone?
No, not even hacked. Not through some complex dark web syndicate or anything. Simply because they typed your name into a public beta test before you did, and they just took it.
Oh, wow. That's wild.
Right, and the crazy thing is that exact scenario is playing out right now in the real world. So I am stepping into my role today as your strategic auditor, and we are viewing this specific piece of information through the digital prism.
I love that framing.
Yeah, because we are not here to just summarize the news for you today. We're here to extract the legacy code of Project Antaryami. We need to look at the underlying architecture of how we communicate, how we transact, and fundamentally how we decide who to trust online.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as the architect of Antaryami and your mentor of the Antaryami VA Academy, I'll be taking on the mantle of the wisdom seeker for our conversation today.
Perfect.
Our mission for this Gurukul session is to decode a massive, a truly impending shift in the very fabric of digital trust.
We're analyzing a proposed structural change that is so profound, it has actually triggered immediate emergency intervention from federal regulators.
It has. And the battleground for this shift is a platform you, our listener, have likely already checked, multiple times today, WhatsApp.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
To understand the gravity of this, we really have to look at the sheer scale of the infrastructure first.
Mm-hmm.
We're analyzing a global platform with 3 billion active users. 3 billion.
It's a staggering number to even wrap your head around.
It really is. However, India is its absolute crown jewel. With 850 million users in India alone, it is WhatsApp's largest single market.
And it's generating over $1 billion annually. And this revenue is largely driven by business messaging, everything from booking a cab to ordering your groceries to finalizing corporate contracts. People live on this app.
They absolutely do. It's the digital town square, essentially.
Exactly. And right now, Meta, the parent company, they're planning a tectonic shift in this architecture. They want to migrate completely away from phone number-based identities to platform-managed usernames.
And the immediate catalyst for our analysis today, the reason we are doing this specific digital stool right now, is the Indian government's abrupt response to this migration.
Yeah, they did not like it.
Not at all. Regulators have basically slammed the brakes on this massively anticipated feature. They issued a formal 3-day notice to Meta, demanding a detailed explanation of the architecture.
3 days is no time at all in the corporate world.
Right, it's an emergency order. They effectively halted the rollout pending consultations, and they're actively exploring legal mechanisms to block the feature entirely if these structural risks are deemed too severe.
So to understand why the government is treating a software update like a literal national security threat, we first need to break down the anatomy of this digital migration, right?
Yeah, let's look at the actual boon of it first. What is the upside?
Exactly. What is WhatsApp actually trying to build, and what's the theoretical benefit to you, the user? On the surface, the mechanics are pretty straightforward. WhatsApp is opening global early reservations for unique usernames.
Like an Instagram handle.
Right, exactly like that. They'll be prefixed with an @egg symbol, entirely similar to what you see on X or Instagram. And the pitch from Meta here is centered entirely on user privacy.
Which is a valid concern, honestly.
It is, because currently the architecture of the app demands a really severe compromise. If you want to, say, negotiate a business deal with a stranger, or join a massive neighborhood association group chat, or even just coordinate a quick delivery,
you're forced to hand over your primary 10-digit phone number to complete strangers.
Exactly. Which exposes a significant vulnerability in your personal security. Think about it. In the modern digital economy, your phone number is basically the skeleton key to your life.
Oh, completely. It's tethered to your bank accounts, your physical location in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Distributing that telecom identifier to strangers just to send a text message, it creates this enormous surface area for targeted harassment, spam lists, data brokerage. It's a privacy nightmare.
So Meta's proposed solution is to eliminate that exposure. You just give out your little username, and your 10-digit number remains hidden in the back end. Problem solved.
Well, see, that's where we need to apply our digital prism. Because
Yeah.
when you do that, the structural flaw becomes immediately apparent. Consider this analogy.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's like taking the state-issued registered license plate off your car and replacing it with a custom bumper sticker of your choosing.
Oh, that's a really good way to put it.
Right. Because yes, it brilliantly protects your home address and your real identity from malicious strangers on the highway. That feels like a massive victory for privacy. But a secondary problem emerges immediately. How do the rest of us, and the traffic cops enforcing the rules of the road, how do we know who is actually driving the car?
That analogy perfectly illustrates the core tension here. Applying the principles of Gurukul 2.0 to this shift, we have to recognize that this is not merely a user interface update.
No, it's not just a shiny new button.
Exactly. It is a profound philosophical rewiring of societal trust. There's a great insight from Nikhil Narendran in the source material we analyzed.
The partner at the law firm,
Yeah.
Trilegal, right?
Yes, Nikhil Narendra. He mapped this out beautifully. He highlights that we are migrating digital trust away from a visible telecom identifier and handing it over to a platform-managed identity.
Let's expand on that for the listener. What does a visible telecom identifier actually represent in the real physical world? A 10-digit phone number is not just a random string of code.
No, it requires friction.
Exactly. It requires interaction with physical infrastructure and state regulation. To acquire a phone number, you generally need a physical SIM card. But more importantly, you have to clear KYC, a know your customer verification process.
You have to prove you exist in the real world.
You do. You submit physical documents, government identification. In some regions, you have to give biometric data. You have to provide a verified physical address. There is a paper trail that leads back to a specific, legally accountable human being standing in a specific jurisdiction.
Precisely. And Narendran's analysis points out that with usernames, we are abandoning that deeply ingrained public infrastructure. Moving forward, banks, businesses, everyday citizens will all have to rely on in-app verification protocols.
Like whatever proprietary verification systems Meta chooses to engineer in-house.
Right. We're replacing the assumption that a phone number proves you are a real person with the assumption that Meta's servers have done the vetting for us. It's basically the wholesale privatization of identity verification.
And the abandonment of that physical world anchor is exactly what triggered the immediate real-world backlash from the Indian government. The transition from theoretical privacy to practical vulnerability, that's where the legacy code glitches.
Yeah, the government's 3-day halt directive stems from very real existential fears regarding digital safety.
Without the friction of telecom verification, analysts are projecting a catastrophic increase in online fraud, automated phishing, spoofing, and the terrifying rise of digital arrest scams.
Okay, the digital arrest scam is perhaps the most glaring psychological vulnerability in this new architecture. We need to talk about this.
Yeah, please explain how that works, because it is terrifying.
The mechanics of this specific fraud rely entirely on authority bias. Scammers initiate a video or an audio call, and they meticulously impersonate law enforcement or customs officials or federal regulators.
They even build fake sets, don't they?
They do. They create elaborate, fake backdrops resembling police precincts. They inform the victim that their identity has been implicated in a severe crime, like maybe illegal narcotics were intercepted under their name at an international border.
And they just panic the victim immediately.
Exactly. They virtually, quote-unquote, arrest the victim. They demand they remain on camera for hours, isolating them from their family and coercing them into liquidating their bank accounts to clear their name.
God, that is so evil. The entire illusion hinges on the victim's prefrontal cortex just shutting down due to panic.
Yep.
It forces them to rely on the initial visual authority of the incoming call. Now, analyze how this proposed username architecture supercharges that illusion.
Oh, it makes it so much easier for the scammer.
Currently, a scammer has to initiate this call from a random, often international, prepaid mobile number. The victim's brain has a split second to recognize the discrepancy between a supposed federal official and a random 10-digit prepaid line with a weird country code.
Right, there's that little moment of doubt.
But if that exact same message arrives from a username that is perfectly crafted to look official, something like, I don't know, at Delhi Police Official 1 or at Customs Enforcement HQ,
that momentary cognitive friction disappears entirely.
the brain skips the verification step completely because the platform's user interface appears to vouch for the caller's authority.
And the threat of this authority hijacking is not just a theoretical projection. The source material from Money Control, highlighted an immediate practical failure during WhatsApp's very early beta rollout.
Oh, this is the story about the CEO, right? Let's get into this.
Yes, Bipin Preet Singh, the CEO of the major fintech company MobiKwik. He discovered that malicious actors had already reserved variations of his own name during the early rollout.
Just scooped up his identity immediately.
Exactly. He publicly warned that this architecture is fundamentally flawed, noting it actively incentivizes impersonation. I mean, think about it. If the CEO of a major financial technology firm is already battling identity theft in a closed beta phase, the implications for the broader, less tech-savvy public are just staggering.
It's a total disaster waiting to happen. Prateer Singh, a senior analyst at Counterpoint Research, and Faisal Kawusa, the chief analyst at TechArc, both independently arrived at the exact same architectural conclusion regarding this vulnerability.
Yeah, they emphasize that the traditional phone number provides what they termed a physical world anchor.
Right. If a message seems suspicious today, the simplest verification mechanism is to simply call the number back. That audio connection cuts through the digital veil.
You analyze the vocal cadence, you listen for ambient background noise.
You demand real-time responses. You verify the human element. When you interact with a custom username, that layer of accountability just evaporates.
The removal of that physical anchor forces us to examine the deeper structural risks of this model, specifically focusing on how scammers exploit the limitations of human visual processing.
This is fascinating stuff.
Entrepreneur and author Ankur Warikoo warned that without vastly superior safeguards, this rollout will be a disaster. He points specifically to the exploitation of lookalike usernames.
Because our brains are lazy, essentially.
Pretty much. Scammers understand that the human brain does not read words letter by letter. It uses heuristics to recognize words as complete shapes.
Which means typographical manipulation becomes incredibly potent. In standard digital fonts like Arial or Helvetica, which are the sans serif fonts used in almost all mobile interfaces, an uppercase I and a lowercase all are often pixel for pixel identical.
You literally cannot tell the difference.
A 0 and a capital O are virtually indistinguishable at a glance. Fraudsters register these typographical clones, and Warikoo highlights a massive secondary problem here, the psychology of the verified badge.
Oh, the blue check mark.
Yes. Most everyday users do not understand the technical criteria behind a verified checkmark. When the human eye registers the shape of a familiar brand name alongside a blue or green checkmark, the brain immediately downloads complete trust.
It's an evolutionary shortcut that malicious actors just weaponize. And we've seen this exact psychological exploit play out on other platforms, which really forces us to question Meta's capacity to actually police it.
Yeah, Faisal Kawusa pointed directly to the catastrophic spoofing events that occurred on X, formerly Twitter, when verification badges were essentially transformed into a purchasable commodity.
Oh man, that was chaotic.
We watched billions of dollars in market cap get wiped out in hours when verified lookalike accounts impersonated major pharmaceutical brands and defense contractors.
Just because of a fake tweet from an account that looked real.
Exactly. And if a platform dedicated entirely to public text, operating under the constant scrutiny of millions of active users and public moderators, couldn't solve the typographical impersonation puzzle, how can we expect a different result here? WhatsApp is fundamentally different. It's a private, end-to-end encrypted messaging environment.
And that encryption, the very thing that guarantees your privacy, is the exact same architectural shield that hides the scammer from platform moderators.
Wow.
When a fraudulent transaction occurs on WhatsApp, it happens in a dark room. There's no public timeline to flag the behavior, and Meta's automated moderation tools cannot read the contents of the encrypted chat to detect the scam.
They're totally blind to it.
This blind spot is precisely what makes the introduction of platform-managed usernames so incredibly volatile.
The combination of untraceable usernames and unbreakable encryption creates a perfect storm for fraud. So if the risks are this severe and the pushback from federal regulators is this intense, we really must ask the fundamental strategic question here.
Why do it?
Why is Meta expending so much political and engineering capital to force this architecture through?
Well, according to the sources, there's a very spicy take on this.
Yes, Rajiv Mantri, the founder and managing partner of Navam Capital, provides a highly critical structural hypothesis. He argues that this update has very little to do with protecting user privacy and everything to do with executing a colossal data harvesting and data pooling scheme.
Okay, to understand Murty's hypothesis, we have to look at the underlying mechanics of Meta's advertising ecosystem.
Let's view this through the digital prism.
Because WhatsApp utilizes end-to-end encryption, Meta cannot read the text of your conversations. They can't view the images you send.
Which is great for privacy.
It is. But consequently, they cannot use the contents of your private chats to serve you highly targeted advertisements, which is the core engine of their entire revenue model. They have this massive network of billions of users, but they are relatively blind to the specifics of their interactions.
But if Meta can convince you to adopt a unified identity layer, that blind spot shrinks dramatically. Murty argues that Meta is deliberately utilizing FOMO, the fear of missing out, by heavily promoting these early reservations.
Right, they create a psychological rush.
Exactly. You feel compelled to log in and secure your preferred handle before some stranger takes it. But the ultimate architectural objective here, according to Murty, is cross-platform integration. Meta wants you to seamlessly link your social graph across their entire ecosystem.
So if I reserve my specific handle on WhatsApp and I link it to that exact same handle on Instagram and Facebook, Meta's back-end algorithms suddenly have a bridge.
Yes. They no longer need to read the contents of your encrypted WhatsApp messages. By mapping your private messaging network onto your public browsing and scrolling habits on Instagram, they analyze the metadata.
They know your WhatsApp handle frequently interacts with specific business handles or specific influencer handles, which correspond to exact nodes on Instagram.
They map the velocity and frequency of those connections. Murty posits that this unified identity layer massively improves their ad targeting algorithms, thereby driving up engagement metrics and increasing their multi-billion-dollar advertising revenue.
It is a brilliant structural maneuver disguised entirely as a consumer privacy feature.
So we have a scenario where the architecture actively benefits scammers through typographical manipulation and potentially serves Meta's financial imperatives through advanced cross-platform data pooling.
It sounds pretty bleak when you put it like that.
It does, but analyzing this impartially requires us to maintain total objectivity. We're just reporting what the sources say, and Meta is not completely ignoring these vulnerabilities. Their engineering teams obviously recognize the massive trust gap they are creating, and they are building a secondary architectural layer designed to mitigate the loss of the telecom identifier. We must rigorously examine the legacy code of Meta's proposed defense mechanisms.
Right, because Meta's stated defense architecture actually relies on several distinct technical layers. First, they emphasize that while the username masks the phone number from the public, the telecom identifier remains a hard requirement on the back end.
So you still need a phone number?
Yes. You cannot instantiate a new WhatsApp account purely with an email address or a blank profile. A verified KYC-backed phone number must still be registered to Meta's servers.
Return to our earlier analogy, the state-issued license plate is still bolted to the chassis of the car, and it's registered in the corporate database. It's just hidden from the other drivers behind that bumper sticker.
Exactly.
But what about the frontline defenses? How does Meta prevent automated bots from registering thousands of lookalike accounts in the first place?
Well, they're deploying proactive reservation systems. Meta's algorithms are automatically reserving the exact usernames of high-profile public figures, international celebrities, government entities, and existing verified corporate accounts.
Which is designed to block the immediate hijacking we saw in the MobiQuick CEO anecdote.
Right. Furthermore, they are completely banning usernames that consist entirely of numbers. This eliminates the possibility of a scammer formatting their username to look exactly like a local customer service phone number.
Okay, so those are structural blocks, but we also have to look at the behavioral defenses. To combat brute force attacks, where automated software rapidly guesses the unique cryptographic keys associated with usernames to map the network, Meta is implementing strict rate limits.
What does that look like in practice?
Basically, they restrict how many new, unassociated contacts an account can message within a specific time frame. And they utilize heuristic systems to detect and ban accounts exhibiting rapid, robotic messaging patterns that look like spam.
Yet, arguably, the most prominent user-facing defensive mechanism they are engineering is something called the info card.
Ah, yes. The mechanics of the info card are critical to understand. Picture your phone screen for a second. You receive an incoming message from an unfamiliar @username. Before you even have the opportunity to type a reply, WhatsApp's interface overrides the chat window and triggers a pop-up context card.
Little warning box.
Yes. This card dynamically pulls metadata to inform your decision. It explicitly warns you if the account was created recently. It flags if the sender's underlying phone number originates from a different country code than your own.
Oh, that's smart.
It highlights if you share any mutual community groups. And it immediately presents prominent buttons to either block the user or report the account to Meta's moderation team.
It's an architectural attempt to artificially synthesize the context you use to instinctively gather from recognizing a familiar area code or a foreign country code on an incoming call.
Yeah, exactly.
Abhilash Kumar, the lead research advisor at Smart Analytics Global, he provided a highly balanced analysis of this specific feature. He categorizes the username architecture as fundamentally both a boon and a bane.
A double-edged sword.
Exactly. The boon is the genuine reduction in daily friction. You no longer have to distribute your primary telecom identifier for every minor business inquiry. It shields you from countless telemarketing databases.
So the info card basically acts like a bouncer at a nightclub that's operating in complete darkness. When a stranger approaches you in the club, the bouncer flashes a quick light on an ID card telling you, hey, this person just arrived tonight, and their underlying data says they are from out of town.
Right.
It provides a momentary sense of security and context. But the bane, the critical flaw Kumar points out, is that the bouncer has absolutely no connection to the state that supposedly issued the ID. The info card only works if the back-end verification is flawless.
Which is exactly why Kumar insists that WhatsApp must develop incredibly robust internal identity verification mechanisms that seamlessly and securely map these user-facing handles to the underlying state-verified phone numbers.
Because if they don't,
without that ironclad internal mapping, the info card is just a superficial UI element layered over a fundamentally broken system. Which brings us to a critical question I want to pose directly to you, the listener, as you analyze your own digital environment today.
Go ahead.
Is a pop-up context box on your screen a sufficient replacement for the primal societal trust we have placed in regulated telecom infrastructure for the last 50 years?
That question highlights the exact friction point of this entire transition. Let's synthesize the mechanics of this digital stroll. We are observing a live, high-stakes collision between the immense convenience of digital privacy and the sheer, unmitigated vulnerability of digital anonymity.
The migration from telecom-based trust to platform-based trust is a rocky road.
Telecom-based trust is where your identity is anchored by physical SIM cards, government documents, and geographical reality. Platform-based trust is where your identity is a fluid string of characters managed by a profit-driven tech giant. And it's proving to be structurally unstable.
And the Indian government's regulatory intervention is not simply bureaucratic friction here. They are treating WhatsApp's username rollout as a critical stress test for the entire digital economy.
They're demanding architectural accountability before they allow the foundational layer of digital communication to be fundamentally altered.
So I want you to critically analyze your own digital instincts today. Pay attention to how many times you implicitly trust an incoming message, a calendar invite, or a banking notification simply because it arrives attached to a recognizable format like a 10-digit phone number.
We have been psychologically conditioned to trust the physical friction of telecom architecture. Pulling that foundation out and replacing it with easily manipulated usernames is literally like removing the load-bearing walls of a house and hoping the new wallpaper is strong enough to hold the roof up.
Operating in this new environment will require a complete rewiring of your cognitive heuristics. You will have to systematically train yourself to stop trusting the visible name and start intensely scrutinizing the surrounding metadata and context.
To close our session today, I want to leave you with a final, provocative thought regarding the architecture of the future. It builds on the theft of the MobiKwik CEO's identity and Rajiv Mantri's warnings about cross-platform data pooling.
Let's hear it.
If our core digital identities are no longer tethered to public, state-regulated telecom infrastructure, but are instead entirely hosted, verified, and controlled by private corporations operating black box algorithms, do you actually own your digital identity, or are you simply renting a username in someone else's walled garden?
A profound structural question. When the state steps back from verifying identity and the corporation steps in to fill the void, we really must ask who truly holds the keys to our digital existence.
Keep questioning your legacy code. Thank you for joining us on this Gurukul session. We will catch you on the next morning walk with Murty Digital Stroll. Stay curious and analyze the architecture around you.